I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks, while the Indiana Fever announced that star Caitlin Clark will be out at least 2 weeks with a left quad strain. Clark reported some pain in her leg Saturday after the team's loss to the New York Liberty. She subsequently underwent an MRI and was diagnosed with the strain on Monday. It's understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up. Who cares? If you're Magic and Bird, that didn't stop Jordan from coming along and doing what he did. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here. And y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had.
Imagine a symphony hall packed to the rafters, every seat filled with eager anticipation, a collective buzz vibrating through the air before the maestro even steps onto the stage. Now, translate that energy to a basketball arena. Just a few short weeks ago, this wasn't just a dream, it was the living, breathing reality for Caitlin Clark's games. The roar of the crowd, the kind of electric energy that makes the hairs on your arms stand up and sends shivers down your spine, was a regular pulsating testament to her superstar power. Every dribble, every shot, every pass felt like a monumental event. But then, almost overnight, that vibrant picture flickered. Picture that same arena just a few days later, sections sitting eerily empty, a stark, unsettling silence replacing the thunderous cheers and the frenzied energy. This isn't just about a star player getting hurt, it's about a blinding spotlight being ripped away, and in its sudden absence, it's revealed the unvarnished, uncomfortable truth of a league caught completely unprepared for its own phenomenon. What happens when the WNBA's biggest, brightest, and arguably only mainstream star vanishes from the court? The answer, as we're about to uncover, is far more dramatic, more chaotic, and more revealing than anyone could have possibly predicted. It's exposing every single crack, every weakness, and every fundamental flaw in the league's foundation. Get ready, because the full, untold story of how Caitlin Clark's absence triggered a crisis of unprecedented scale is about to unfold. It's a cautionary tale, a saga of what happens when a golden opportunity isn't just missed, but actively mishandled. The unstoppable current from obscurity to overnight sensation. Let's cast our minds back just a little. For years, the WNBA existed in a quiet hum, a dedicated and passionate niche league with a relatively modest following. It had its hardcore fans, its loyal supporters, but it rarely, if ever, broke through into the mainstream sports conversation. Then, Caitlin Clark arrived. She wasn't just another talented player, she was a force of nature, a cultural phenomenon, a marketing marvel wrapped in a basketball jersey. Her collegiate career at Iowa had already shattered viewership records, proving her immense draw, but her transition to the WNBA, it wasn't just good for the league, it was a seismic, earth-shattering event that instantly redefined its trajectory. Suddenly, almost magically, games were selling out across the country. Arena doors were swinging open to throngs of fans, a sight that had been a distant dream for many WNBA veterans. Viewership records weren't just being broken, they were being annihilated, shattering previous benchmarks across 6 different national networks. People who had never, ever given a WNBA game a second glance were tuning in, captivated by her audacious long-range shots, her no-look passes, and her sheer, undeniable charisma. Her Indiana Fever jersey, once a rare sight, became the hottest commodity in sports apparel, flying off shelves faster than the league could restock them. She single-handedly dragged the league, kicking and screaming perhaps into mainstream relevance, opening doors to a new, unprecedented era of opportunity, exposure, and, most importantly, revenue. This wasn't just a temporary bump in the road, It felt like a permanent, irreversible shift. The future looked boundless, limitless, all thanks to one rookie. The bitter undercurrent, resentment, and the unspoken truth. But here's where the plot thickens, where the bright light of success reveals the darker shadows lurking beneath the surface. While Clark was busy rewriting the WNBA's financial future, piling up record after record, an uncomfortable, almost palpable undercurrent of resentment began to brew. Think about the stark reality. Many veteran players had toiled for years, even decades in relative obscurity. They played for modest salaries, often struggling for basic recognition, fighting for media attention. They paved the way, sacrificing and building the league brick by painstaking brick. Then this young rookie bursts onto the scene, fresh out of college, and immediately commands unparalleled attention, media hype, primetime slots, and an undeniable financial sway that dwarfed their cumulative efforts. It's a bitter, bitter pill to swallow, and frankly, some players and even certain league officials simply couldn't or wouldn't hide their feelings. Stephen A. Smith, never one to mince words or shy away from uncomfortable truths, bravely stepped forward. He suggested a deep-seated resentment from some veterans, and even an underlying jealousy from parts of the league's establishment. It's not about Caitlin Clark, he emphatically argued. It's about what she represents. He detailed how some players resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had, and how they felt neglected when she arrived. The young white girl comment from Smith, though controversial, spoke to a perceived disparity in attention, a feeling among some veterans that their own contributions had been overlooked for years, only for a newcomer to receive immediate, widespread adulation. This wasn't just a difference of opinion. It was a clash of eras, a collision of hard-earned struggles against instant superstardom, and the emotional toll was evident. The unchecked aggression, a glaring omission of protection. This simmering tension, this unspoken resentment didn't just stay in the locker rooms or manifest as quiet whispers. It unfortunately and overtly manifested on the court. Night after night, game after game, Clark found herself subjected to an alarming, almost predatory level of physical play. We saw hard fouls that bordered on tackles, sneaky elbows thrown away from the ball, and borderline assaults that would typically warrant immediate ejection or suspensions in any other professional league. The video clips are out there, stark and undeniable, showing a player absorbing an unusually high volume of brutal contact. It wasn't just standard basketball physicality, the kind that happens in every game. It often felt targeted, intentional, designed to send a message. And what was the league's response to this escalating aggression? A deafening, unsettling silence. Referees almost unbelievably swallowed their whistles. Calls that should have been automatic technical fouls or even flagrant fouls were ignored. The WNBA itself, the very body tasked with protecting its players and upholding the integrity of the game, seemed to turn a blind eye, allowing the rough play to continue unabated. It became so blatant, so overtly negligent, that Stephen A. Smith, among other prominent sports analysts, was absolutely furious. He didn't just call it out, he straight up torched the WNBA for what he explicitly called systemic negligence. His words were damning. When a league lets its most valuable player get slammed, hacked, elbowed, and borderline assaulted every night with no consequences, that's not an accident, that's negligence. How, he demanded to know, could they possibly allow the player single-handedly saving their league, their future, to be treated like that? This wasn't just a failure of officiating, it was a profound failure of protection, a complete abdication of responsibility for their most valuable asset. So when the news finally broke that Caitlin Clark was out with a left quad strain, it felt less like an unfortunate stroke of bad luck and more like an inevitable, tragically predictable outcome. While injuries are an unfortunate, unavoidable part of professional sports, the context here is critical and frankly, infuriating. Was this quad strain a direct result of one specific, egregious, hard foul? Perhaps not directly, as quad injuries can arise from various forms of stress. However, the cumulative effect of constant, unchecked physicality, the relentless pounding she endured, the forced effort to constantly push her body harder and harder to evade aggressive defensive tactics, undeniably increased her susceptibility. to injury. Her body was constantly under duress, forced to absorb blows that other players simply weren't experiencing. The WNBA's silence, its inexplicable failure to step in and set a clear, uncompromising boundary against overly aggressive, dangerous play inadvertently yet undeniably set the stage for this moment. It allowed an environment to fester where the league's crown jewel, its most exciting attraction, was left vulnerable, unprotected, and exposed to a relentless onslaught of physicality. The league's inaction essentially condoned the rough play, sending a clear message. It's open season on Clark. Now, that inaction has come back to haunt them, and the entire league is paying the price for a decision that prioritized, well, it's unclear what exactly it prioritized, because it clearly wasn't Clark's well-being or the league's long-term prosperity. Stephen A. Smith summed it up by questioning Commissioner Kathy Engelbert directly. Why in the hell has Kathy Engelbert not stepped in and done something about it? The injury wasn't just a setback for Clark. It was a glaring indictment of the league's leadership. The immediate fallout, ratings in freefall, and the looming crisis, and the consequences were immediate, brutal, and utterly undeniable. The record-breaking ratings that Caitlin Clark had single-handedly brought to the WNBA, they didn't just dip, they went into a catastrophic freefall. We're talking about games that once drew staggering viewership numbers, peaking at over 1.17 million viewers, collapsing to a mere 394,000 without her. Let that sink in for a moment. Over 1 million viewers reduced to less than 400,000, and it got even worse for some games. A recent Fever game without Clark averaged a paltry 235,000 viewers. That's not just a drop, it's a full-blown implosion. This isn't just about casual viewers losing a little bit of interest and tuning out. It's about the entire fragile structure of the league buckling under the weight of one player's absence. The numbers don't lie, and they tell a devastating story. The WNBA without Clark's magnetic pull is not just reverting to its pre-Clark viewership levels. In many cases, it's plunging even lower as the sudden surge of attention created by her presence now emphasizes the stark contrast. Networks that were celebrating record highs just weeks ago are suddenly scrambling, desperately trying to drum up excitement around matchups that, frankly, fans simply aren't tuning in for. Those high-definition replays that highlighted her insane three-point range, the viral clips running wild on social media, the constant chatter about her impact, they're all gone. Instead, there's a void, a stark reminder of who was truly driving the audience. The league, exposed, now faces a ratings crisis that threatens to undo all the progress she delivered. Empty seats and silent cheers. The stadium shift to ghost towns. But it's not just the TV screen showing a desolate picture. The energy, the very soul of the arenas has deflated completely. The Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark's team, experienced the most dramatic transformation. They went from selling out every single game, packing stadiums with buzzing, roaring fans, to slashing ticket prices in half and still struggling desperately to fill seats. Entire sections of their arena, which were once electric, vibrating with fan energy and anticipation, are now eerie ghost towns, desolate and quiet. The contrast is jarring, a silent testament to Clark's unparalleled drawing power. This phenomenon isn't confined to Indianapolis either. During Clark's initial run, 4 other teams in the league had previously moved their home games to bigger, more expansive arenas just to accommodate the throngs of fans, the veritable stampedes coming to see Clark and the Fever. Now that need is gone. The demand has evaporated. This isn't just a typical attendance dip after a star player gets injured. It's an unprecedented, full-blown disappearance of fans, revealing just how precariously dependent the entire league had become on the singular presence of one player. The WNBA is witnessing a level of fan exodus that is, quite frankly, unheard of in professional sports, starkly illustrating that fans weren't coming for the WNBA. They were coming for Caitlin Clark. Beyond the box score, the intangible erosion of excitement. The impact of Clark's absence extends far beyond quantifiable numbers like viewership and attendance. It's about the feeling, the atmosphere, the pervasive why bother attitude that creeps in when the main attraction is gone. Caitlin Clark's games weren't just basketball matches, they were bona fide events. People actively circled dates on their calendars, planning their evenings around her games. They rushed to buy tickets, knowing if they hesitated, they'd miss out on a spectacle. They eagerly anticipated the next highlight, the next viral moment, the next record broken. She brought an intangible excitement, a sense of witnessing history. being made every single night. That buzz, that palpable anticipation was her true superpower. With her sidelined, that magnetic pull, that undeniable energy has simply vanished. Merchandise sales, once booming beyond imagination, have plummeted. The WNBA lost not just a player, but its current must-watch status, its mainstream appeal, and its compelling narrative. That kind of collective enthusiasm, once deflated, is an incredibly difficult thing to get back. The league, without its singular star, feels less like a vibrant, growing entity, and more like a collection of teams playing in quiet desperation, trying to recapture a magic that for now exists only in memories of Clark's brief but dazzling reign. The excitement, the phenomenon, has been replaced by a lingering question mark over the league's very viability in the public eye. The CBA crisis, a cruel twist of fate for all players. And then there's the truly cruel irony of the timing. This injury, this sudden collapse in public interest, couldn't have happened at a worse moment for the WNBA as a whole. The league's collective bargaining agreement, CBA, is expiring, and crucial negotiations for increased minimum wage salaries, better travel accommodations, and improved overall player conditions are about to begin. For years, WNBA players have fought, battled, and advocated tirelessly for better pay and better treatment, enduring meager salaries and commercial flights while male counterparts enjoyed private jets. Caitlin Clark's arrival provided the league with unprecedented leverage and a massive, undeniable surge in revenue, promising a brighter, more prosperous future for everyone in the league, not just the stars. This revenue stream was meant to empower the players in their demands. Now, with ratings and attendance cratering, with the league's primary revenue driver sidelined, the players, especially those who may have harbored resentment towards Clark's spotlight, are faced with a harsh, undeniable reality. Their strongest bargaining chip has been significantly weakened. The very financial surge that was meant to uplift all boats has now receded, potentially jeopardizing the very salary increases and improved conditions they've long deserved and fought for. It's a bitter, bitter lesson in unintended consequences, a stark embodiment of the phrase, "Be careful what you wish for, because the tide that lifts all boats can also recede, leaving everyone stranded." Stephen A. Smith, in his fiery commentary, hit the nail on the head with brutal accuracy. The WNBA had the golden goose and treated her like a regular bird. Think about the profound truth in that statement. Clark wasn't just a player, she was a marketing dream, a ready-made superstar packaged perfectly for mainstream consumption. She single-handedly sold out arenas, drove a never-before-seen spike in ratings, and had people buying her jersey faster than the league's entire supply chain could possibly keep it in stock. She was the primary reason thousands of people were tuning in, many for the very first time. Yet despite this undeniable commercial appeal, the league's marketing felt surprisingly generic, almost as if they didn't quite grasp the monumental magnitude of what they had in their hands. Instead of leaning into her infectious energy, her compelling backstory, and her unparalleled ability to command the spotlight, they often treated her like just another season storyline, a fleeting moment of interest. What should they have done? More targeted ad campaigns, deeper integration into mainstream sports media, specific promotions built entirely around her presence, a stronger narrative highlighting her unique impact. But why did they hold back? Was it fear of alienating existing veteran stars? A reluctance to appear to play favorites? Whatever the reason, it was a colossal failure of vision, an inability to recognize and fully capitalize on a once-in-a-generation opportunity that has now tragically slipped through their fingers. Smith explicitly called out the whole bunch of people that didn't want to give Caitlin Clark her shine, including players, announcers, and pundits, adding another layer of internal sabotage to the narrative. Where was the leadership? A masterclass. In mismanagement, this entire unfolding mess, according to Stephen A. Smith and countless other observers, didn't happen by accident. It happened by design, or rather by a glaring, almost deliberate lack of it. Smith didn't pull any punches. He directly called out Commissioner Kathy Engelbert for what he unequivocally termed a masterclass in league mismanagement, criticizing her for a profound failure to prioritize Clark's safety and, by extension, the entire league's future. The criticism is blunt, damning, and increasingly difficult to refute. The league took Clark's unprecedented rise for granted, acting as if players with her unparalleled marketability and cultural impact come along every day. They simply don't. Invoked the powerful idiom, "A rising tide lifts all boats," passionately arguing that the league should have jumped on Clark's wave, using her momentum to elevate everyone. Instead, they seemingly resisted it. The solution to protecting their most valuable asset, he asserted, should have been obvious and immediate. Put a stop to the excessive physicality, but instead, they let her get hammered, elbowed, and targeted. Game after game, a reckless, almost self-destructive approach that has now come back to haunt them with devastating force. This wasn't just short-sighted, it was a profound misjudgment of the league's most critical asset, leaving its long-term viability in jeopardy. The questions now loom large. Was it a genuine oversight, or was there a deeper, more complicated reason for the league's inaction, perhaps tied to the very resentment Smith spoke of? A fear of upsetting an established pecking order? The ripple effect, fragility exposed. Future uncertain Caitlin Clark's injury didn't just pull her off. The court. It pulled back the curtain on the WNBA's deepest, most fundamental flaws. It exposed a systemic fragility, a precarious over-reliance on a single individual that goes far beyond one player's talent. This isn't just about the absence of a star player, it's about a league that built its temporary momentum on a foundation of sand, with no viable contingency plan, no backup strategy, no long-term vision beyond riding the wave of one phenomenal rookie. It's about a leadership structure that seemingly failed to grasp the unique market dynamics Clark created, and a potential internal dynamic of jealousy and resentment that inadvertently or otherwise sabotaged their own golden opportunity. The ripple effects are expanding, touching every aspect of the league, questioning its appeal to future talent, impacting potential sponsorship deals, eroding investor confidence, and forcing a harsh reevaluation of its entire marketing strategy. Is this a wake-up call that the WNBA can somehow respond to and recover from? Or is it a fatal blow, a moment that will forever be remembered as the point when the league had lightning in a bottle and through a series of missteps and missed opportunities, let it tragically slip through its fingers? The numbers don't lie, and the league's vulnerability is now starkly out there for everyone to see. Conclusion, a crossroads for the league and a call to action. So, as we stare into the void left by Caitlin Clark's absence, where does the WNBA go from here? This isn't just a question for Clark's recovery, but a fundamental existential crisis for the entire league's future. Her unexpected and arguably avoidable absence wasn't the cause of all the WNBA's deep-seated problems, but rather the brutal, unignorable symptom of deeper issues the league has long struggled with. How to truly protect its stars, how to effectively manage internal player dynamics, and how to genuinely capitalize on its fleeting moments in the mainstream sun. The spotlight that Caitlin Clark brought to the WNBA was blinding, showing everyone, including the league itself, what was truly possible for women's professional basketball. Now, with her gone from the court, that same intense spotlight is also illuminating what's deeply fundamentally wrong within its structure and leadership. Can the WNBA pivot, truly learn from this self-inflicted wound, and finally build a sustainable, robust future that prioritizes all its talent before it's too late? Or will this moment be remembered as the golden opportunity they let tragically slip through their fingers, leaving us all to wonder what could have been? What do you think needs to fundamentally change for the WNBA to not just survive, but truly thrive beyond the presence of any single superstar? How can they regain the momentum they've so quickly lost? Let me know your honest thoughts and predictions in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, if it sparked your curiosity, or simply opened your eyes to a crisis unfolding, please don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and subscribe for more deep dives and untold stories. From the fascinating, often tumultuous world of celebrity and sports, your support helps us tell these important stories.